Why shut down a well-liked series? Because actors leave, creators finish telling their stories, or a network is ready to move on. Here's a look at all the TV shows that will have told the stories they needed to by the end of 2019. But be warned, spoilers ahead. Legion simply isn't the kind of show that can go on and on forever. For one thing, the possibly real, possibly not real adventures of Dan Stevens' character, David Haller, are just so wildly out there. There's no way creator Noah Hawley and his writing staff could have kept up the pace indefinitely. After all, the story involves a man who spends much of his time in a mental institution and doesn't quite have a firm grip on reality or his burgeoning superpowers.
Who were the people at the hospital that day?
No, you're lying. You try
David.
It's up to the writers to advance the story to a certain place, especially since Legion relates to the world of the X-Men. Davis is evidently the mutant son of the famed Professor X. FX announced that the twisty, turny, highly engrossing sci-fi hit will conclude with its upcoming third season, which began airing on June 24th. Fortunately, it sounds like this is all in accord with Hawley's master plan. He evidently wanted the series to only run for 3 seasons. Speaking at a Television Critics Association event in February 2019, he said, "I think endings are what give stories meaning. I always thought about this as a complete story, and it felt like 3 acts of a story." There's no denying that Batman has always been a popular character. The never-not-brooding Bruce Wayne and his rogues gallery of colorful villains are bona fide pop culture fixtures, no matter how you slice it. There are decades worth of comic books, the Tim Burton films from the 80s and 90s, a slew of animated shows, and of course Christopher Nolan's truly iconic Dark Knight trilogy. And then there's Gotham, a clever reimagining of the Batman story that chronicled the adventures of a young Bruce Wayne, and also introduced us to younger versions of Commissioner Gordon, the Joker, the Penguin, and the Riddler. Since the show was always building towards young Bruce's ultimate transformation into Batman, it was a concept that eventually had to reach its foregone conclusion. Evidently recognizing that fact, Fox renewed Gotham for a 5th and decidedly final season during the presentation of its 2018-2019 programming slate. Honestly, Gotham fans should feel lucky the show got another season at all. It ranked a not-so-great number 129 in the 2017 to 2018 TV ratings. It also managed to survive a cancellation massacre at Fox that involved XX axing Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Mick, Lucifer, and The Exorcist, all in one fell swoop. Fortunately, Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Lucifer were ultimately rescued by NBC and Netflix, respectively, and Gotham got a chance to wrap up its story on Fox. On the surface, Broad City was a wild and wacky comedy about 2 young women dealing with nutty characters and situations in New York City. But underneath all the zaniness, its 5-season run was low-key groundbreaking. It's arguably the first New York-based comedy that ultimately didn't glamorize New York. In every episode, co-creators Abby Jacobson and Alana Glazer portrayed 2 kooky young women battling a grimy, confusing, apathetic, and ludicrously expensive Big Apple. But it's funny.
Hello, sir. We'd like to report that the sound was really subpar, but the Dolby was nowhere near 5.1. Great, okay.
And endlessly entertaining and eccentric comedy series, Broad City was, at its core, all about the deep, unconditional love shared between these 2 best friends. Broad City perfectly encapsulated how friendship often propels you through your 20s, particularly when you're flailing in the big city, and on your own for the very first time. Ultimately, the co-stars and co-creators aged out of that period in their lives, and so did their characters. That's why the show had to come to an end. As Jacobson told TV Line, the show was always really about what New York is like in your 20s, from these 2 specific points of view. It's a flash-in-the-pan kind of thing, and we wanted to stay true to that. The Big Bang Theory's gang of socially awkward California scientists always managed to bring in huge numbers, even at the end of its 11th season. In fact, it was the top-rated show on broadcast TV for the 2017-2018 season. In advance of the show's 12th season, the season in which the show surpassed Cheers and became the longest-running multi-camera sitcom in history, TV execs began negotiating seasons 13 and 14. And that's when actor Jim Parsons balked, despite the fact that he was being paid roughly $1 million per episode to portray quirky genius Sheldon Cooper, a well-deserved salary to be sure. According to Entertainment Weekly, the 4-time Emmy winner effectively said no to $50 million when he turned down 2 more seasons. According to Deadline, Big Bang co-creator and executive producer Chuck Lorre gathered the cast in his office after a table read in August 2018. That's when a tearful Parsons told his castmates that he had intended to lead the show at the end of the season. And then Lorre announced that the 12th season would, in fact, be the last one for everybody. He preferred ending the Big Bang Theory altogether rather than continue on without Jim Parsons, or Sheldon Cooper for that matter. HBO's monster hit Game of Thrones was quite possibly the last true appointment viewing to ever air on television. In the age of Netflix binge-watching and DVRs, millions gathered to watch the show when it first aired on HBO Go on Sunday nights, both to avoid online spoilers and to immediately find out what was happening with Jon Snow, the Lannisters, and Daenerys Targaryen, the Mother of Dragons. Based on the series of best-selling fantasy novels by George R.R. Martin, the Westeros saga reeled viewers in from its very first episode in 2011, but the 8th season, which consisted of 6 oversized episodes, was definitely the show's last. At least audiences finally know who was destined to sit on the Iron Throne. No one. But why would HBO force millions of people to live in a cold, empty world without the promise of a new Game of Thrones episode? Well, the show reportedly concluded because Season 8 was the end of the calculated storytelling plan concocted by show creators David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. In 2016, Benioff told Deadline, "From pretty close to the beginning, we talked about doing this in 70 to 75 hours. To that end, Game of Thrones certainly wasn't like other TV shows, which often consist of self-contained episodes or season-long plot arcs. As Benioff explained, we're trying to tell one cohesive story with a beginning, middle, and end. Whether or not they succeeded is something you'll ultimately have to decide for yourself." At some point, History Channel realized that historically based TV programming could include more than just World War II documentaries. In 2013, the channel delved into scripted shows for the first time with Vikings. Possibly the most violent TV series that's also ostensibly educational, the drama explored the lives, families, and seafaring fights of 8th century Norse warrior Ragnar Lothbrok and his kin. It's just like Game of Thrones, except possibly sort of real. Creator and writer Michael Hurst based his show on the written sagas of Lothbrok. So Vikings is sorta kinda based on a true story, and a true story that ends. All Hurst set out to do was tell the complete tale, and over the course of 6 well-regarded seasons, he did just that. The decision to end Vikings was ultimately his own. In January 2019, he told Variety, "I always knew where I wanted the show to go, and more or less where it would end if I was given the opportunity. We stopped shooting the final episode in November last year, and I felt that I'd said all I needed to say about Ragnar and his sons." USA has established itself as a major player in quality cable television, offering viewers plenty of breezy, almost airless dramas that usually involve some element of the law, and lots of extremely attractive people. The network's slate of hits include Psych, White Collar, Royal Pains, and Suits, the last of which centers around Mike Ross, portrayed by Patrick J. Adams. He's a fiercely intelligent man and quite a brilliant attorney, despite the fact that he doesn't even have a law degree to his name. Winning case after case while maintaining his secret, Mike soon meets his match in paralegal Rachel Zane, portrayed by Meghan Markle. The show's juicy legal and romantic storylines brought in millions of fans, and according to The Sun, a certain Prince Harry was among them. When Markle began dating Prince Harry in 2016, it spelled the eventual end of the show. As you probably know, the couple fell in love and got married in a royal wedding for their ages in 2018.
All that I am, I give to you.
Presumably because she'd be living in England and devoting her life to charity work and public appearances, Markle left Suits at the end of the show's 7th season. Adams evidently figured that was a good time to leave too, and Suits writer crafted a sweet exit for the couple. They got married and moved to Seattle to run a law firm.
You're the husband I've always wanted, and I can't wait to begin our adventure together.
Suits returned for Season 8 in 2018, without 2 of its main characters, and the departure of Markle and Ross proved too much of a loss to weather. Producers called it a day, choosing to end the show in 2019 after the 9th and final season of 10 episodes. Now they're reportedly focusing on Pearson, a Suits spin-off starring Gina Torres' character. HBO isn't the only place to find quality programming on a cable network for a few extra bucks a month. In recent years, Showtime has also made a name for itself, with critically acclaimed and award-winning fare like Homeland, Shameless, Ray Donovan, and The Affair. In 2017, Showtime debuted SMILF, a dark, gritty comedy from the mind of actress Frankie Shaw. The Mr. Robot co-star created, wrote, directed, and starred as Bridget, the titular single South Boston mother with a sex drive and a social life.
I am sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
The The show attracted a sizable audience and a second season was quickly ordered, but some serious controversy eventually reared its head, and it directly led to SMILF's early and abrupt demise. In December 2018, SMILF writers reported to the Writers Guild of America that Shaw had allegedly separated staffers by race. Meanwhile, co-star Samara Weaving claimed that Shaw forced her to film a nude scene despite her no nudity contract clause. In March 2019, the network said in a statement that, after weighing a variety of factors, Showtime has decided that SMILF will not move forward for a third season. And that, as they say, was that. Transparent aggressively evolved over the course of 3 seasons. The quiet, ultra-subtle Amazon series took on a premise that had never been fully explored on American television. Jeffrey Tambor starred as Maura Pfeifferman, a college professor who finally starts living her truth. She identifies as a woman. In other words, she's a transparent. Over the course of 4 seasons, Transparent ambitiously expanded into a show that was not only about gender identity, but sexual and cultural identity too, particularly in how the Pfeifferman family explored their Jewish faith and background. But Maura's journey remained the core theme of the show. That is until producers and Amazon fired Tambor. The company launched an investigation after cast member Trace Lysette accused Tambor of multiple acts of sexual harassment and 1 instance of assault. Tambor's assistant Van Bars also accused the actor of inappropriate behavior.
It ran the gamut of sexual harassment, physical harassment, and verbal abuse constantly.
With Tambor gone, the show's writers decided to wrap up this series with a special 2-hour finale that's set to air on Amazon in September 2019, according to Variety. The death of Maura will figure prominently in the storyline, and the episode is actually going to be a musical, if you can believe it.
Let's take it from the top.
Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite shows are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.